Welcome back. I hope you all had time to go down to the bar for refreshments. Act 2 is about to begin. Recounting horror stories is one of the oldest human traditions, existing since our cave-dwelling ancestors huddled around the first campfire. And what better way to celebrate this than by taking a look at the story writers themselves? R.L. Stine was famously known for hating children, fueling his passion to scare the absolute piss out of them, while making a profit. Stephen King is another horror writer who wants to do things to children, and that's why we're not going to talk about any of his trash. And if I'm being honest, Goosebumps is a much better horror series than anything King has ever published anyway. Some of you may not be aware of this, but the Goosebumps series itself did spin off into Choose Your Own Horror books, which are a great analogue for our next selection, which is the most story-focused of all three scenarios. As the saying goes, reader beware, you choose the scare. This is Ghostwriter. There's a silent, unassuming calmness to the night as the writer approaches their mailbox, discovering a large package just for them to enjoy. Taking it inside to the comforts of the den and unwrapping the parcel to reveal a mysterious disc. And this is when we are given one of my favorite choices in the game. Insert the CD or toss it into the trash. The latter of which will allow you to simply call it a night, avoiding the entire ordeal altogether. Given that it is still the 90s and creepypastas have yet to annoy us, we pop that haunted disc in and load it up, only for the screen to freeze. Frustrating as that is, the phone begins ringing non-stop, and so we go off to the bedroom to deal with that situation. I want to stress that the language barrier did not hinder my enjoyment of this game, and it is very easy to infer that this is most likely our publicist, pressuring us on the deadline for our current book. But I would like to use this moment to make a tiny pledge to you, the viewer, that if we can get the subscribe count up high enough to get that Audible sponsorship, I will 100% take the Japanese language course seriously. There's a long list of horror games alone that I'd like to cover for all of you, and it's not exactly the hardest thing to accomplish. Meanwhile, back at the desk, it would seem our PC has come down with the red screen of death, taken over by a spooky ghost virus. And it is legit hilarious that we get a POV shot that resembles someone watching the door, doing their best to make sure their mother doesn't come in to catch them watching something they really shouldn't. Frustrated at getting zero work done, we call it a night, and while I was half expecting Sadako to jump out from the monitor and sneak up into our bed like many adult videos depict, we simply drift off. 5 days until our book report is due, and we now find ourselves pulled into a lucid dream world where we must choose between allowing ChatGPT to do our job for us, or having a tiny bit of integrity and resisting the allure of our spectral dream master. It wouldn't be any fun if I did things the right way, and so we choose to sell our soul, entering into the library with a strange The Thing themed claw machine sitting in the center of the room. The prize inside? Our best-selling novel, and luckily we still have change left over from our last arcade visit. Do not be deceived, this is arguably the second hardest action segment of this story, but with a little luck, and going for the one that is clearly the easiest to grab, we secure our first book, opening it to find only the script for Manos, the Hands of Fate. Page after page, we receive nothing more than a hand job, but we take what we can get, jerking awake to the ringing of the phone and our publicist once again chastising us for the lack of progress. Back in the den, our PC-98 has booted back up, and is getting hard to work on that rough draft. Our protagonist, however, wastes another day dicking around with video games, making no progress whatsoever, and like the night before, we decide to crawl in bed to get a good night's rest after all of that sitting on our ass we did, drifting back into the nightmare void. Continuing on our current path of non-accountability, we re-enter into the library only to find a new arcade machine, winning a second segment of our book, and this time we've made progress. This is great. We may meet our deadline after all, and there were absolutely no negative consequences whatsoever. We awaken while being transported down hall on a hospital bed, and for a moment I thought this was the intro to Silent Hill Homecoming, which is the most frightening jump scare this game has pulled so far. Sadly, there isn't a single killer nurse to be seen. And while both Dark Tales and Silent Hill are similarly referencing Jacob's Ladder, Silent Hill did not do this until its third installment, so it is a bit humorous knowing this game did it first. We have no time to ponder on that. It would seem I'm getting non-elective surgery, and by the looks of it, we're about to be seen by a surgeon who was chosen by Obamacare. Strapped down to the table, just the way I like it, we do our best to break free, but not really, as the saw inches closer to our arm, the price we must pay for our sloth. At the very last moment the saw breaks and lowers out of sight. Perhaps they only wanted to spook us a bit, as a warning. Waking once more, we find that we do indeed still have our hand, and even better, the ghost has done our homework for us. With only 3 days until our deadline, and half a book left for us to write, we buckle down hard and get to work the way only a professional writer can, by grabbing a large bottle of wine and drinking the day away until we pass out, finding ourselves back in the Nightmare Library and facing the arcade once more. We came here to win, and quickly nabbed the next section of book, which is now nearing completion, while hinting at more torture to come. There are also some ominous, spoopy skull drawings for us to look at, but without warning we are thrown back onto the surgeon's table. Bound, helpless, and subject to our ghostly captor's mercy, we find ourselves on the bad end of that nightmarish miter box once more, and this time it intends to slide in between our legs, splitting us in half like an anime girl on prom night. Just like before, the blade edges closer and closer, taking its time but eager to penetrate. Again, a false scare. Our mistress is a tease and wants to play games, which can only mean one thing. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and it looks like we may be close to cashing in all of our tickets very soon. Awakening, yet again, we run over to our speak and spell to see that our live journal post is almost completed, but before we can celebrate, the writer begins coughing up large chunks of blood, possibly from a jagged piece of cereal we ate this morning, or ghost cancer. I can only speculate. Regardless, we have no time to worry about this, as that deadline is now only 2 days away. After a long day of doing absolutely nothing, we drunkenly stumble into bed like every other night, being pulled into the nightmare world once again. Now we must decide, door or door. So we choose door, being handed our final piece of the skull book. And I swear I'm not skipping anything. The game itself is rushing towards the finish line. Rising from our bed in a panic, we make a mad dash for the PC while coughing up blood, hoping to send out one last hateful tweet before we pass out. Sadly, the writer collapses onto the floor, losing consciousness, and even worse, we only have 1 day left to finish our homework. The writers slowly rises to their feet once more, knowing their time has nearly run out. Stumbling towards their PC, they must make one final decision. Do we finish the book, or toss the ghost into the recycling bin? Now, I understand many people would choose to full commit, allowing our protagonist to face the consequences of their own decisions, and because of that, I will not spoil that ending. Instead, we will reject this satanic CD's gift and exercise our PC the traditional Christian way, through one-on-one melee combat. We choose our weapon, the dull hatchet, because I am a dummy, with our ghostly opponent arming themselves with a war maul. Luckily, they are also a coward, instantly distancing themselves before throwing the couch at us. We fat roll out of the way. They throw the grandfather clock. We fat roll once more, and after deflecting the mace, we go for the PC itself, smashing it to pieces and removing all traces of the spectral software. Only one day later, and our writer is back at it with a brand new PC, and all the inspiration they need to knock their novel out, even if it is due later that same day. A new sense of confidence gained, and an appreciation for the gift of life, they begin to get at it, when the phone rings. On the other end, our publicist screaming frantically, "It would seem it's no longer the 90s. Printed media is dying. The company is bankrupt. Our book can no longer be published, and even worse, they expect us to pay back the advance we were given." Will the writer escape their new legal nightmare? Or will they be taken to court, left destitute for the rest of their life? That is a story for another day. Don't go too far away, we still have one tale left, and they saved the best for last. As always, thank you to everyone who watched, and to everyone who got adoptables this week, and I will catch you in the next one.